talk about a very interesting team right now as far as front office coaching staff goes. That is the Arizona Cardinals. The Bidwell family seems to wanting to be making some changes. They've moved on from Steve Keim, and I think there's some other changes in tow that could be very interesting for the organization. We'll get into that story here in just a minute. But, Cardinals fans, I've got to know, with all of these changes going around, who do you want to see be the core of this Cardinals team in the coaching GM department? What are some options you want to throw out that you think would be good? Are the two guys, Adrian Wilson, the interim guys, are they the guys that you want to stick with for the future, or is there some other options that you like? Let us know who you want the posters for the Arizona Cardinals to be going forward. But Nick, what do you have in regards to the Bidwell family and making these front office head coaching changes?
Yeah, so the stories are now involving the head coach. Obviously, there's no rumors and reports about the GM position. And when that happens, usually the head coach is next in line. It looks like Cliff Kingsbury, all reports are indicating that he will be terminated. We'll see how it officially plays out as the season progresses. But it looks like right now the Arizona Cardinals will move off of Kingsbury and look for a new head coach going forward. And now there's a lot of stories, minus a lot of reports. Usually it's just one or two. Anecdotally, you can ignore it, but there's a lot of evidence and a lot of movement behind none other than Sean Payton being a strong candidate to be the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. It's not just that the Cardinals want him, it's that Sean Payton potentially wants him too with some connections. And I'm going to go through all of them here because there's a number of them. Okay, so first, this is USA Today did a great job kind of consolidating all these. So first, NFL insider Josina Anderson reported saying that the Cardinals were, quote, a consideration for Payton, along with other teams. The Cardinals were one of Payton's list. Sports Illustrated speculated that Cardinals would be the right situation for Sean Payton should they eventually fire Cliff Kingsbury, which everyone says that they will do. And there's some more stuff here. When you go back to November, ESPN's Dan Graziano reported that Cardinals were also a potential Sean Payton destination. So again, you're seeing all these reports, all these rumors flying around. And then one more for you, Mike. You talk about a guy trying to go back to maybe his roots. Sean Payton got his start in football. Not his coaching start, not his playing start, but his start in football, being the ball boy for the old St. Louis Cardinals back in the day. Right, so you definitely know the Cardinals have a soft spot in his heart. And we look at it on the football field, it makes sense. You got Kyler Murray, you got a lot of talent. You got a lot of things to work with there in the desert in the NFC West. Right now, with all those different reports about Arizona being consideration for Sean Payton potentially being a really good fit for Arizona, Sean Payton, wanting potentially to go to Arizona, and then also having the connection to the Cardinals organization and the Bidwell family, it looks like the Arizona Cardinals very quietly but very powerfully are in a strong position to get Sean Payton as their next head coach. Miles, give me your thoughts on all these developments.
Well, Nick, I think it's really interesting, but there's a few key factors here that I want to put into play. So obviously, Payton has been building his team of coaches that he is expected to move on to whatever team he decides to move to. But when you go to the teams that are potentially matches, like have openings, let's go down the list here, Nick. Obviously, the Cardinals, that's the team we're talking about. But you got the Broncos, you have the Panthers, and then potentially what was the third team we said, Nick? The Broncos, the Panthers, and maybe the Colts. Colts, no great quarterback situation there. No. So let's move off of that one. You got the Broncos, great defense. They're in cap hell with Russell Wilson. You're kind of stuck with him, and you don't know if he's going to be good or not, if you can fix him. And then on the other side, you've got the Panthers. There's no real strong identity with the team. They trade away McCaffrey. They're okay. I think it's an okay place to build a team up, but still, it's just not where you want to be. The Cardinals is by far the strongest organization, Nick. They have the most talent around the ball. I think you think of guys like Isaiah Simmons, think guys like Budda Baker, think guys like Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, James Conner. They have a lot of strong pieces on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. So I think it's a very desirable location of the locations that are available. And Payton has been known to work some magic with some undersized quarterbacks, notably Drew Brees. Obviously, Kyler Murray, Drew Brees, a little bit different skill sets, but he can maybe help some of these, arguments that Kyler is an undersized kind of guy and be the guy that can utilize that skill set to its biggest advantage. Because I think Kyler Murray, hear me out, Nick, could be a really good mashup of a Drew Brees and a Taysom Hill, both Saints guys put together. So he's had experience with both of those style of quarterbacks. So I think that is what I have, Nick. Do you think that anything to add on to that?
Yeah, I think the one thing when you look at the Cardinals and the position they're in is it's clear they tried to go, they had Arians and then Arians left, but then they try to go the young, exciting, sexy head coaching hire going Kingsbury, right? And then obviously they had some success. They had some decent seasons, right? Obviously last season they made the playoffs. It hasn't worked out that the direction isn't where it needs to be. So now is the time to correct from that mistake and get the savvy veteran, coach who's won a championship, who's been there before. Look, and everyone knows Sean Payton's going to have his pick of the litter. He's going to be able to choose which organization he wants to go to. That's why I think Arizona, if they really want to go after Sean Payton, which they really should, I think now is the time to start preparing for that and giving his demands and giving him everything he wants. And here's one thing I want to leave you with, Mize, is right now you notice the Cardinals have talked about rumors of who they're promoting to GM or that role. Sean Payton has wanted to have a strong connection with the GM. So the fact that the Arizona has held off on not elevating their GM, they've kept it kind of quiet. Who knows what is actually going to happen specifically there? I think shows me that they're willing to potentially acquiesce to Sean Payton and say, hey, Payton, you may be the coach and GM, and Adrian Wilson, as an example, may be the director of pro player personnel or whatever that title, and give Payton the authority he wants. I think the Cardinals and the Bidwell family is kind of hedging their bets and hoping they can land a guy like Payton, which I think they should. So the fact that they haven't elevated a new GM, or at least been very public about elevating someone to that position yet, is a sign that they're really interested in targeting Payton.